Now, a security analyst is warning it will be difficult to stop the activities of vigilante groups in the 2020 elections as long as government fails to punish those recommended in the Ayawaso West Wagon by-election violence. 23 people suffered various degrees of injuries during the violence, which many described as a scare on the country's democracy. As you know, government its white paper last year rejected at least half of the findings and recommendations of the Emil Short Commission, which investigated the by-election violence. Here are extracts of both reports.
Coordination in ensuring a proper mapping of the security needs of the elections and strategic hotspots in light of past experiences. In its recommendations, it called on the President to review and restructure the Ministry of National Security establishment with a view to ensuring clarity of responsibilities and roles as well as lines of reporting. It proposed the SWAT team of the National Security Council Secretariat should be disbanded and operatives be reassigned as appropriate. The Commission further recommended that support for special operations should be sought from the specialized units of the police directly as and when necessary. 50% of the recommendations that make specific reference to individuals and their specific roles they played leading to the violence during the Ayawaso West Wogon by-election were rejected by government in the white paper. The Emil Short Commission recommended the criminal prosecution of Mr. Ernest Akumia alias Double, and government took note of it and referred the matter to the CID for investigation. In the case of DSP Samuel Kojo Azugu, the commission recommended his removal from command responsibility at the National Security and reassigned. Government once again took note of it and referred it to the IGP for consideration. The white paper, however, rejected recommendations for Colonel Michael Poku and Brian Echampong, Minister of State in charge of National Security, to be reprimanded. The prosecution of the man who's
Meanwhile, Secretary to the defunct Emil Short Commission, Ernest Kofi Abochi, is calling for a cleanup of the security services ahead of this year's general elections to forestall the lapses witnessed during the Ayawaso West Wagon by-election.
And we thought that given the importance of the security sector, particularly in an electoral season, as we have in 2020, it is important that we streamline the security sector and that, I use the word advisedly, that we clean up the structure of our security system to ensure the avoidance of the kinds of contradictions and difficulties that we saw as far as the coordination of the security apparatus and the security dynamics of the country was concerned. So that's informed substantially the committee's finding as far as the structural realignment of the security sector was concerned. Again, as I indicated, government is best. Government.
Well, Dr. Kingsley Ajay is a security analyst and lectures at the Cape Coast University. He's warning it will be difficult to stop the activities of vigilante groups in this year's election as long as government fails to punish those recommended in that commission's report. He spoke to my colleague, Emefa Apau.